currently the compliance officer for Danske Bank, and I've been at Danske for about 4 years now. My role, it's a general compliance role, and we do touch on the anti-money laundering side of things as well. And this is it was quite important for me to get a wide-ranging role because I enjoy all aspects. My role is basically to look at all the regulations out there and the legislation and FCA rules and whatever's applicable to the bank, and see what is relevant to the traders and the people working for us. We cover, so the first part of it is actually understanding what the regulation is for Danske Bank, and forming policies and procedures, providing training so that people are aware of what they need to adhere to. We look at things like, so we've got a lot of, it's quite a small branch, so we have a lot of involvement with senior management, which is great, but it's as I said, it's a small branch, so we talk to people from junior traders up till to general manager. When I actually came to Danske, one of the things that made me look into taking on the role was that it was quite a small institution where you get to do a bit of everything. I started off my career at, my compliance career at Vertex, which was the pan-European exchange, and it's a primary market for Swiss blue chips, so it was at that time. And I really enjoyed it. It was really fascinating looking at trading across the market and trying to find those unusual or potentially suspicious trades, and then investigating those. But it was the market abuse side of things. So what I like about the current role is that you also get to look at other areas, so the financial side of anti-money laundering, fraud investigations, and you're more you're working with the business. It's not just a surveillance role, and that's something I really enjoy. I think definitely they need to really know their regulation and legislation inside out. They need to know what's relevant, what's new, because it's always changing, so you need to make sure you're keeping up to date with developments. So that's the basis of everything you do. But over time, compliance has become such a dynamic role, especially after the financial crisis, which showed that it was more important than ever to have a strong compliance team who can foresee any problems or issues. So it's knowing your stuff basically, but also communicating the information in a way that actually gets people on board. And the bank or your financial institution is there to make money, so you do need to look at things that come to you, and if they're not coming to you in a way that's completely compliant, look into alternatives. Well, I think it's a great area to be in. It's such a changing role. It's as I mentioned, dynamic. It's growing. You don't just need to know about compliance or anti-money laundering. You need to know the business, and that's really interesting. We actually at the bank, I make sure I spend time on the trading floor, so I get to hear what's going on and learn from just being within the business. So I think you acknowledging that it's not just reading up on rules and regulation, but you have to know how the business works, is something that I'd strongly advise. So keeping up to date with current developments, and being aware of the changing environment is very important. So I'd strongly recommend reading up. But also just talk to different people. So as I mentioned, I work for a small branch, and that works really well with me. So it's very important that if you are going to take on a role in compliance, you're aware of the type of organisation that you're looking to work in. Some organisations will be a higher risk, so there will be a greater responsibility on you to make sure they adhere to the rules. And if that's one you're willing to take on, great. There are more vanilla firms, so just be aware of the business you're going into. It's not just about, you can't apply the same rules to every firm. Or you can't apply the same rules in the same way to every firm. So it is knowing what role you're going to take on as well.